Guys, it's May 5th, and I got some very concerning phone calls this morning about J100s falling out of the sky, hitting trees, and some things that are very concerning as far as issues. You deserve to be informed of the ongoing issues, and you guys are also going to see how they're trying to resolve the issues that are going on with the J100 right now. Hey Josh, it's Mike. Hey, I know you and I we spoke already for like an hour or so, but so often I get called out that I'm just a salesman for DJI, or I'm, this and that, right? Like that I don't want to promote other drones. You were the first guy in the States here that was running a J100 fleet with massive issues already. If you'd be willing to share how it went and what your concerns are.
Yeah, I can. You mentioned we talked earlier about the issues that I'd ran into, and it's a serious deal, not only for the life of my business, but the safety of my team.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what it come down to, my affiliation with the EAVision drone. It's just, I was super hopeful that it was going to be what I needed and what I wanted.
So let's tell them kind of what you told me earlier. You were the first one in the States that I'm aware of that had a fleet of them. Were you doing weed fungicide out there, Harriman?
Yeah, well, we've done both. We've been on some pastures here in northeast Kansas, and then really no more than we got started on pastures, we got calls for fungicide on wheat, which obviously has a very small window of opportunity to put that on and be effective. We immediately switched to that. That was just where the problems started, and they came fast and one after another.
How long were you flying the first drone till it fell out of the sky?
I believe the first drone was like 230 acres in.
And then were they all then start falling out of the sky at that 230 some acres?
Yeah, so I had 3 drones within a 24-hour period, all the same failure that just fell out of the sky with less than 250 acres on them.
So 3 of them, and then you went and you got 3 more new ones. You thought the issue was figured out, and you put them back in the air, and then they did the same thing again?
Right. Yeah. So we were told that it was a connection within a wiring harness that was crimped too tightly. And that's where we identified the failures of the first drones, and then we went and had a visit about, hey, this is bad. Like, half of my fleet just fell out of the sky in a day. What's going on? Well, then we were given a new set and told that they were different. And ultimately, the same exact thing happened. And when we pulled back the curtain, basically the tape and covering on these wiring connections, it was the same thing.
Jeez.
So in their defense, I think maybe they were told that and believe that. There's no reason that there would have been any dishonesty. I'm not saying that at all, but it's ultimately not the way that it turned out. Just traipsed a half a mile through a wheat field to peel back some tape and see the exact same problem, exact same failure on a drone just yesterday. So, geez.
So you had mentioned when we had talked that you did have other errors come up on your drones, and you weren't even flying them in like super hot weather or anything like that. Was it the ESC or what was overheating?
No, so actually the brain, the CPU, it was giving us the warning that it was overheating. But obviously it's right there. It's touchable. Like, we pulled the hood off, you put your hand on it. We're flying in 50, 60 degree weather, and it was cool to the touch. Like, it was showing us an error that was not in reality. Like, if that thing were overheated, it's got fins on it for heat dissipation. Like, you would have known if it was hot. Well,
hot. Yeah. By touching.
What resulted of that, then the LiDAR went out. So that drone it's on its 3rd LiDAR.
Dude, Josh, we're only 200 some acres in on this drone?
Yeah. We've got one drone that has made it past, I think it's in the 500 acre range.
How do you feel flying that thing after 6 of them falling out?
Well, yeah, you don't feel comfortable at all. That's why I'm getting away from it. I lost all faith and confidence in that brand, and
you have all right to. I mean, that is just.
I've got very good friends whether it be civilian life or military life, that have joined my team. And we discussed earlier, like, had these catastrophic failures happened while the bird was over our trailer, we could be having a whole different conversation.
Oh my God.
And so when it come to that in my mind is a hard and fast decision that I'm not going to take that chance.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, you sprayed thousands and thousands of acres already with DJI system, and never have you had a bird fall out of the sky like that?
No, the the only thing that ever happened with a DJI was operator error. In that same breath, they compensate for operator error. That drone still gets on the ground safely in most occasions.
I agree with that.
Running it out and running out of battery. Well, obviously, the drone is going to land itself safely before it completely runs out of battery, and you may run the unfortunate circumstance where it had to land someplace that's going to damage it. But unlike the J100, we got low voltage warning on a battery. It was in autonomous mode, and next thing we know, it's hard landed.
That's scary, because I had the low voltage warning, and I was told there was some software with the battery, and I wonder if I would keep flying mine.
Oh, it would have went down. Yeah.
Oh no! Now I want to go test it myself, because I was getting that in Florida, and I was told that no, that's just a software update on the battery.
Now, day one, luckily we were spraying wheat, which was, about the height of the props. And it had like 55% battery, and I start getting, low voltage.
Yeah.
And it went another half a football field and just went down in the wheat.
Jeez. Dude, that is scary. So what would you tell guys that have acquired a J100 at this point? What should we tell them?
So don't fly them. EA and AgriSpray are in an unfortunate circumstance, but and again, in their defense, they are trying to fix a problem. But for safety, do not fly them. They're trying to come up with a fix. They're working hard to implement that fix. But in the meantime, there's drones out there, and people need to use them.
Yeah.
But for safety concerns, and just if you want to stick with that company, let them come to you with a fix before you put it back up.
That's my biggest thing about this is for the safety of the industry. It's like when you and Josh, you and I were talking earlier about, that was my biggest concern when I went to Taylor. I was like, Taylor, let's just fix the small safety issues on the drone before we get all into the weeds about it needs to do this route differently. Let me adjust this, let me adjust that. Just the safety concerns alone, like, for one, the motor's not beeping before they spin up. The drone allowing me to take off without latching the arms. The landing it onto the ground, if you pull full stick down, will just like a brick go into the ground. Like, just small things, right? Small things can be concerning. Those were the things that I was like, let's get that fixed first before we move.
There's a reason, there's a reason we have the saying safety first.
Yeah, I agree.
I heard that all my life. Right?
The military.
I mean, safety first, life, limb, or eyesight. That's what we lived by for 20 plus years. That mentality doesn't ever go away. That's just everyday life for me. So
God, it's just a shame. It's just,
we pulled one out of the box. One of the new ones, had the guy here. We did all the firmware, the setup, the activation, all that. I spun it up, pre-flight, spun it up. We were like, oh wait, we didn't do this. Let's not take it off quite yet. And it would not shut down. Full stick back, hold.
Oh yeah, no, it doesn't work like that. You got to put them into the corners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that too. And I called him. I was like, wait, you still have to fix it. Okay, Josh, pull stick down is how we shut it off. Now you got to tell me I got to put it out and into the corners. I literally did that myself, and I was like, it just sat there. It would not shut off. I was like, guys, I have no idea. So I had to take it off and then land it, and then it shut off.
Yeah, that's what I had to do.
Yep.
But what if it were in a situation where, you spun it up and you're like, oh, it's not a good place to take off. Like, we're going to have to move it. Like, you couldn't shut it down.
Yeah, no, so I shoulda, coulda, woulda just done my video like I shoulda, and I could have saved so many people with just these little things that should have been addressed before unboxing them. Well, yeah, again, dude, Josh, I'm serious. I'm sorry that this happened to you. I'm glad nobody got hurt. That is the biggest thing. I'm glad nobody got hurt. It's crazy that it started this early in the season already, and I just hope that enough people that get J100s that the problem can be solved, that they can go out and have a profitable business. Because my thing is, they still got to get those acres covered. Like yourself, you have these acres that are agreed upon. You're going to have to figure out how to get them done. And so these people that have the J100s, I am just hoping that there's a solution for those people.
Yeah, well, this is my genuine hope. I'm not out to crush anybody in any business. That's just not my nature.
Yep.
But my hope is that there's hundreds out there thus far. Now, I was that group that got them up, identified these issues early, which in my mind, it's unfortunate for me, but I'm hoping that what we identified and that the issues happened so quickly that everybody involved with coming up with a fix can make it happen before something catastrophic that involves life happens. So everything happens for a reason. This may be a blessing in disguise for, some people involved. Did happen early and that nobody has been seriously hurt. They've got to hustle. Like they've got to figure it out quick. And in my case, like I don't have time to wait.
You got acres that need covered.
I got a business that is drowning. Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty, Josh. Well, I hope you're able to get your hands on some reliable drones. If there's anything I can do, like I said, just call me and we'll get something figured out. But I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Alrighty. Thank you. Okay, guys. So you people that comment, the reason that I make the videos that I do is because I truly believe in the products that I push, and that is why I never was 100% on board with the J100, and it was not about destroying the drone. It was not about that it has this wrong, that wrong. It's because of, it just came to the market too fast, right? Like, it's just like, this stuff needs to be used, needs to be flown, needs to be tested before we just to the market. There's a reason the FAA is looking at all this drone stuff so closely. They're not allowing just any drones to come to the market and be, listed on the UAS approved drones list. There's a reason for it. Who knows where this will go yet, but anyhow, I don't know how to end this thing, if we'll pick this up somewhere else, but concerning phone call for sure. Hey guys, I had another phone conversation with another J100 pilot that same morning where we talked about his J100 crashing multiple times. He sent me photos, but he later told me that I do not have permission to share those photos and that phone conversation with you guys. I'm sorry about that, but now we're going to jump on the phone call with Taylor to see how they're going to mitigate this problem or figure out how to resolve this whole thing. Let's get into it.
You bet. What kind of problems have you heard?
One guy that I've sold 50s to in the past, or 40s way back, he had a whole fleet. I think he got like 6 of them or something. 3 fell out of the sky, had them replaced, and then they did it again. Talked to another guy. His has jumped outside of the boundary, flown into trees. Another guy was taken off. It flipped over backwards. Feels like these safety things that you and I discussed earlier haven't really been addressed, and so I just wanted to see what the team's doing.
Well, it sounds like maybe we're working with the same people.
I'm sure.
So
There's obviously Josh out of Kansas. He's super concerned about it, and he's moving on. And then clearly Taylor, our customers are going to cross over at some point. You reach the same people that I do, and so like you and I have talked. I don't. My goal is not to destroy the J100. It's good for the industry to have something else if it's going to be good, but when I've talked to you back when I got my J100 from you the first was like just these small safety things that were concerning to me, and you were telling people that most of this stuff is going to be fixed by April and we're in May. So yeah, just wanted to get, have you talk to the people on what's going on.
Yeah, so those drones went down last Saturday, I think it was, or last weekend. It was all we looked into. The same thing caused each scenario. It was the bullet connector on the wire from power to the rear motor ESCs, and that bullet connector was crimped improperly. You could tell where there was wires that were exposed that were not, inside the bullet connector whenever it was crimped. So we got with EA on that, looked, at basically that batch of serial number that we knew that they had changed from basically a water pack plug to a bullet connector. Seems like with that batch of drones, when they did that, whoever they had at the factory was an oversight issue, and they did not crimp those correctly.
Okay.
So it was causing wires basically wiggle outside the bullet connector and get cut, so where all the power coming from the battery could not get to the ESC.
So the wire, the bullet connector was crimped too hard. Have you guys gone through the couple hundred that you guys have gotten in, or is that going to be something that you guys are pulling out of the boxes and making sure that that's going to not be an issue?
Yeah, we're going through all of them right now. And like the thing is, we're trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way to fix this problem? Where, on what drones is it a problem, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So this has never happened to EA though, like ever before, like in other parts of the world or country where they sell other drones, that this problem has made drones fall out of the sky?
We were not made aware of this happening at any point in time in Asia. They said the reason that they switched to the bullet connector style is because the style that they were using, they did have an issue. It wasn't the same thing, but it's something similar. And so they switched to bullet style connector. But it seems like that wasn't, it wasn't the connector, right?
Yeah.
The connector wasn't the problem. It was how it was actually crimped.
Okay.
Was the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we've got on the drones, the first like 60 that came in, they switched, they took out that plug style connector. They just hardwired from power to ESC is what they did.
So my thing, the reason I'm concerned about it, and I've told you this in person before, is like I want a safe drone, because once people start dying, we're all going to suffer. The whole industry is going to suffer if people start dying from spray drones. So that's my thing, is like, let's make it safe first, then we can make it a great drone after that. Do you think that the errors that I was getting, and I want to do, if you send out a service bulletin or something that, an inspection sheet that people that have J100s can go through and check, because I want to check mine, because I would get like the battery voltage error or whatever, and Josh was saying he would get that error and then maybe like 10-15 seconds later it dove into the ground. And so I wonder if mine has the same thing. I just didn't fly it long enough to have it fail.
Well, and we have to separate there. Without being there and seeing those errors, knowing what, on the cable side, then it's hard for me to know, like, okay, is that a battery voltage error because a connection was getting loose? Is that a battery voltage error because the battery is getting low, right? So the battery voltage errors that you were getting whenever you were in Florida, you had your battery voltage warning level set to 40%, 40 volts. On the drone, with the software that you had at that time, it didn't actually set it to 40 volts. It was like it would trip below whenever it hit 48.
Okay.
That's whenever it would give you that battery voltage, low voltage warning. It was hardwired in the system that it wouldn't, it would trip at 48. And that's just something that they didn't, like on the software side, even though it said allowed you to hit 40, select 40, it still was at 48.
Yeah.
Trip that. Since then, and the way EA does this is different than like how DJI does it on your low battery warnings and whatnot, and critical low battery landings. The percentage is somewhat irrelevant, and it really kind of is on all drones, right? Percentage isn't necessarily what it's actually, like the drone's actually using. It's voltage. And so whenever you're seeing percentage, that's just an algorithm based on the voltage and payload and current draw and whatnot of the battery.
How concerned are you that more J100s are out there that have the same bullet connector that caused these other drones to go down in Kansas? How concerned are you that there's some out there that need to be inspected and looked at?
We're not being silent about it. It's like literally the Monday that we knew we knew what batch that was, right? EA said this batch, right? And so everyone that had a drone that batch, we contacted them immediately, told them what the issue was. We've got EA flew over somebody and they brought bullet connectors with them. They also, they sent some over, they shipped some over as well.
See, that's impressive. One thing that I was telling you is like that is why I am rooting for EA, because they are wanting to make this work. They are doing whatever they can to make it work. So I respect them for that. I still go back to some of the first conversations that you and I had is I am concerned that there's these little things that were overlooked in the Asian market of these drones that were never addressed is why my reason for not really like being, completely on board with the J100 was just the small things that have been overlooked, and we've not even run them hard through the summer. But I got to give it to them. That's impressive that they flew a dude over here trying to figure out the problem.
They actually brought parts with them, and then they're sending us brand new cables as well.
That's awesome.
They're sending us 1,600. So in addition to like the quick fix is fly a guy here, bring bullet connectors. They're paying for our dealers to get crimping tools. They've actually gone to 3 different dealers so far and actually taught them, like, hey, this is how you should, that's how we're going to be fixing this right now. And then we're sending out all brand new cables that are crimped correctly from the cable manufacturer, right? Not like the dudes that they hired to do a quick fix, and then we'll be sending those out. So cool. That's the thing is, like, do we know for a fact that that will solve all of these problems? Of course not. But it does seem like the root cause of, like, out in Kansas, that was the root cause was improper cables.
Okay, so what can you say about the one in Missouri that plowed into the trees? LiDAR quit working, or why do you think that it did that? Not once, but twice already.
Yeah, so if it's the same one
Wait, Taylor, are there more?
Well, no, it's the only one that I know about.
Okay.
Right, it's the only one that I know about. I don't know if it's that's the same one, or if there's one like that that you know about, I don't know.
Is his name, I think?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Firstman. Yeah, so that one there was one time he said it didn't. There was a tree in a waterway. He didn't know it was there. Didn't map it in. The drone clipped it and fell. So that's like, okay, well, and he said he'd been trained following everything just fine. So that's like, well, I don't know. I haven't looked at FPV footage myself. I don't know. We just got it today. Like, the drone's sitting here at the shop today. So I don't know if what's going on with that. I haven't looked at the logs just yet. Right. But drones not seeing obstacles and crashing into them, that's going to happen sooner or later. Right. It doesn't matter how good obstacle avoidance you have. We've seen many drones that, have avoided 100 obstacles and they crash into one. So
yeah, so he told me that the one time it jumped outside the boundary, and I was going to bring that up, that I actually had my EA drone do that the last time I've flown it before I, stored it away. It was in the field. It was running a line. It was running the outside straight line. It was not doing a route boundary. It was doing a straight line, but there was a tree in its way, and I had it in like flatland mode, so it would go around it to the left or right, not over top of it. And it completely went outside the geofence of what the boundary was originally created for. Is that normal?
As it was avoiding it?
Yes, as it was avoiding it. Yes.
We have closed the case on the drone crashing into the tree. We're moving on to the next thing, which is the drone flying outside the boundary.
Yep.
Crashing the tree.
I like how you keep me in line there, Taylor. Yep.
Right. Well, it's like I don't want to mince issues here.
Yep.
So flying outside the boundary. Okay, so what you just described was not a GPS issue or LiDAR issue. It was a protocol issue. That sounds like whenever you are, and that's something we haven't actually, I guess, had it in that same exact scenario, right? We have like an obstacle right on the edge of a field where the drone can choose to either go left or right. Like there's an option.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
You go left, you go right. We have not had it in that same exact scenario. We've had it in similar scenarios where it's flying along a tree line where like it can't go to the outside of the boundary because there's a tree line there, so it goes to the inside of the boundary.
Yep.
We haven't had it in your scenario. Okay. So in your scenario, it sounds like it will just, whenever it's avoiding obstacles, perhaps it just ignores the boundary and just avoids the obstacles. If it doesn't see anything the outside of the boundary to go around the obstacle, then maybe it will go around the outside of the boundary of the obstacle. That's something that I need to write down here and test.
It definitely did that.
Like that. I hear you, and I can picture that scenario in my mind. I just have not seen that do that. We haven't. That's not a scenario that we, I guess, tested. That would come across on a regular basis, to test. So that's something that I just have to see, okay, what's it going to do in that scenario? And if it does, go around the outside of the boundary in that scenario, then what I need to do, and sounds like even before I test it, let EA know about it right away since it happened to you, and have them put a protocol in place to where it will not go outside the boundary if it's avoiding obstacles.
Yeah. So yeah, that's addressed. One more. I know I'm curveballing.
Well,
you.
Hang on. No, we're not done. We're not done there. So on drone, we don't know what happened exactly whenever it crashed outside the boundary, right? On that time it crashed. So obviously, perhaps there was a LiDAR not working. I don't know, right? We haven't looked at the logs to see. What we do know, at least from a picture of the screen, was that he says the drone was sitting here, but the location was sitting there. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's a discrepancy on location. I don't know anything about that. We've had in one instance after we got a drone out, we put in some new firmware. I have to ask Alex exactly when it was and what firmware it was and what drone it was. I know it was a J100. We had it here at our shop, and we just installed something new on it. Went out to fly, a small field with it just to test something, and it was off. It was off by probably 15 feet, from where we mapped it, right?
Where the geofence was
flying. Yeah, it was flying on the map itself. The map itself showed that it was flying within the boundary, but we know we just mapped it with Google Maps.
Yeah, yep.
So that was a discrepancy with probably how Google, Maps did the, correlation or something. We just hadn't had that happen before prior to that. And once we brought it back, we landed it, rebooted it, and we're like, let's try that again. And it didn't do it again. Reported it to EA. Yeah. And so I don't know if that, what that was, but that's the only time that ever happened to us. Where actually the map itself did not align. Now, this issue seemed to be possibly a different issue.
Yeah.
To where I guess it could have been that same thing, or it could be the drone itself thought that it was 30 degrees one way or another when it wasn't.
Yeah. So when he told me it was outside the boundary, I just started thinking about mine when it went outside the boundary to avoid a tree. I was thinking maybe his was trying to avoid something, which pushed it outside the boundary. And then maybe the LiDAR didn't see something and then went down. That's how I was trying to figure out how
possible.
Yeah, how it ever got outside of geofence.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the flight at the data to see on that specific issue. That's possible. The other thing is it could be that same about the same time frame, I guess, that happened. There's another guy down that same area, and he said that he sells drones down there, and he also flies these drones. And he said he's flying with the J100, and he said it looked like he said they know they mapped, right here at the edge of whatever area, but he said he knows it was going outside that area, and also that same time frame. He said he had 4 T40s go down, so he didn't know if there was a solar flare or something. That's happened before. We've had a bunch of people, especially in just different particular areas, that are like this, drones flying outside the boundary. It's losing connection. It's been all sorts of weird stuff. That has happened. We've seen that. We've documented that. Yeah. So that could have been a root cause too. We don't know.
Well, my thing was I wanted to get your voice. Obviously you're the distributor of these drones, and wanted to let you tell us what you think is going on so we can make good, safe decisions on what guys are going to be flying. Obviously, I like that EA is trying to solve these issues, and hopefully they won't continue. My thing is it's just crazy to think that the small things were still being worked on. So the drone that was fired up in Kansas then didn't have the correct software uploaded to it, maybe?
And possibly not, because that's another issue that we're running into is guys are not updating these correctly. I did that myself just yesterday on a J100 at my house.
Okay, so there's a process. It's not just a one push button like DJI's system. It updates everything for you. You got to kind of go through the steps.
Well, and because we sent so many updates through different modules as well. Yeah, so there's and we trained dealers on this. We made videos, we made documents. This is how you're getting a J100. This is how you should be updating it.
Okay.
And it goes through the entire process. And part of that process, they're not DJI drones, they're EA drones. So they have different modules. The CPU has its own firmware. And so part of the update process, we changed CPU firmwares. And part of that is you got to power down the drone. You've got to power down or unplug the CPU battery, one of the two, and then plug the remote into the CPU, and then update it and make sure the update takes,
Yeah, it's just a completely new system, what a lot of guys have been used to.
Yeah, and that's the thing is we know for a fact that like there have been like guys having some problems. They call and like, hey, this drone's not doing this, not doing that, whatever. And so we're like, hey, okay, did you update this? Yeah, did you update this? And they're like, I know how to update drones. I'm not a dummy, right? Like, I understand that, but this drone is different, right? It's drone different than what you maybe updated in the past. Did you plug the CPU in? And like a lot of guys say, no, I didn't do that.
Okay.
So that's maybe why my drone is still doing what it's doing is I need to plug the CPU into the controller.
Yeah, if you go to our website, like go to the resources tab, I think it is, have the e-learning course on there.
Okay.
And that's one of the first videos is how to do all the firmware updates.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just part of it. It's obviously once it's done right and it's done correctly, all those things should work.
Yeah, and that's probably my fault, not calling you whenever we sent these ones out with like the official, field firmware, like tell you how to do it.
No, I'm not. I mean, obviously, it's like, it's like if everybody would follow along and we have time to get every email or, every video watched on YouTube, maybe we'd be up to speed. But oftentimes, guys are out in the field. So to get that, maybe a text message, hey, Mike, make sure to watch this. This is how you update your CPU.
And that's why we go through. We have bi-weekly meetings with our dealers, sometimes weekly, and whether they choose to be there or not, that's, I guess, up to them.
Yeah.
But, that's what we go through. Like, hey, we sent you, 3 times now, whatever, on different things. Make sure you pay attention to the X, Y, or Z.
Yeah. Yep.
And make sure that your customers know that too, because they're the resource for the customer.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I want you to be allowed to say how you feel and what EA is doing. I really appreciate that. My thing was like, I do have a lot of people that ask me about the J100 and what I think about it. And I feel like I've been holding it back kind of exactly how I feel about it. But it's like now I have a buddy that I've got into drone deer, back in the day, and he bought drones and he switched to J100s, and now he's calling me and he's like, oh, I spent all this money. And I was like, if I'm gonna put it out there, because I did put the original videos out there of the J100, the experience I had. This is concerning to me to have these start to fall out of the sky already with, only maybe, what are there, 50, 60, 80 drones flying right now, and down the road we have 500 to 1,000. What type of issues are we going to run into? But
sounds like you guys are
there's quite a bit more. Yeah, there's more drones than that out there.
EA drones?
Oh yeah.
In the United States, flying on a regular?
In the U.S. Well, so the first 60, those got sent to dealers. Like, that's all we had, right?
Yeah.
So we sent those to
demo type
dealers, and demo units. And that's what's been flying up until the past, I don't know, when we started sending these last ones out 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, but that's my thing, Taylor, is like those first units were not actually like, hitting it heavy, going spraying, trying to get 500 acres done in a day. Now we're starting to see,
I get it.
Where's the crinkle? Where does it have to be, figured out? And that's why what I'm saying is like, I think that there's going to be those things, but it's nice to see that EA is trying to get it figured out.
And the first crinkle we're seeing is a manufacturing mess up on their part. And that's the thing is like within 24 hours of finding the problem, they said yes, there is a problem.
Yeah,
they gave us the batch numbers.
That's impressive.
And they flew a guy here. Whenever, to put this in context, when the T30 came out in the fall of 21, just a couple of units, and didn't really have any problems with it that I can think of. But then we sent out a whole bunch of them in 22. We had ESC problems like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Drones were landing in the field. They were crashing.
Yeah.
They were going rogue. They were going 100 foot up in the air and then killing the power. They were flying sideways when they should have been flying straight. There was a crap ton of issues. It was a nightmare all that summer. And we knew pretty sure that we've seen enough of these problems. This is a component failure. This wasn't all the drones, but it was a pretty sizable percentage of them. This is an ESC issue where there's faulty ESCs out there and a lot of them. And they even sent us accidentally sent us a T30, a small batch T30 ESCs when we ordered T30 ESCs that were actually they were larger. They looked like T40 ESCs, but they mounted to a T30.
Huh.
And we asked them about it. They said, oh, no, we never made anything like that. Like, no, this is clearly different.
Interesting.
Right? And we kept asking, like, what's going on? Like, there's a problem. And like the fixed solution we got was lower the payload. Don't put 8 gallons in it. That was a solution we got to fix it for these guys. Come to find out, later, like there was an issue with the EFCs that they didn't admit to it, but someone within China said, yeah, there was a bad batch of EFCs with one manufacturer that made them. So it's like just to put it in contrast, like, yeah, this sucks. Like it sucks to have these J100s go down like this, and to have a cable that's not manufactured properly. But to have a supplier that says, yes, we screwed up and we're going to fix it.
That's impressive. I don't know what else we can ask for. The same thing with the T40 not following terrain and having all sorts of issues. We had the issues with the T42. Yeah, we finally, they're standing behind their products, which is nice.
That's impressive. Alrighty. Well, that's all I got, Taylor. I appreciate it. I mean, what else can he say other than it sucks? All right, guys, so I wanted to give you an update on that video. I'm out here working on a project right now, but I wanted to include this in the video to let you know that the AgroSpray team has been working on how to try to solve and fix this problem. And so right after this, we're going to put it on the screen how this all unfolded, what day the first drone fell out of the sky, and so on and so on. But you will see that they did have a quick fix for this wiring issue, and since then that drone has flown over 1,400 acres and no problems as of yet. But you'll see the whole timeline and the breakdown of when this started, what was done to try to resolve this. Out of respect for the AgroSpray team, I sent this video prior to releasing it, and so I just wanted them to know that I'm going to do this because I feel like, guys, I've been having to hold back a little bit about how I feel on this J100, and so I wanted to respect Taylor on his, switching to the J100, but I wanted to let you guys know that there are some issues with the EA drone. And let's not kid ourselves, it's not the best drone in the world, okay? It just isn't. Will it be? Maybe. I thought you guys should see that. And here at the end of the video, you'll see the timeline that went about trying to get this wiring issue fixed. And that's all I got for you guys. I feel like you should be informed of these things so you can make an informed decision on what drone to buy. Because I feel bad that so many people went out and sold their really good T50s to switch over to this program, and there are some issues. So there you go. Alrighty, we'll see you guys on the next one.